You're welcome to Halogenious Ideas. I'm excited to have you here for this journey in building a to-do app using Django and React. Whether you're a seasoned developer or just diving into the world of web development, this tutorial has something valuable for you. In this comprehensive tutorial, we'll embark on a step-by-step adventure to create a fully functional to-do app. Our goal is to provide you with a hands-on experience demystifying the process of building a web application from scratch. By the end of this tutorial, you would have gained insight into both front-end and back-end development, and most importantly, how to seamlessly connect the two of them. I have decided to use SAS for styling, a powerful CSS preprocessor. But don't worry, if you are new to SAS, I'll explain everything along the way. Understanding the concept is key, and I'm committed to making sure that you grasp each one, even if it means the video might be a minute longer. Our journey begins with the front end. We'll start by crafting the visual identity of the to do app, ensuring it's not only functional but also pleasing to the eye. Once our front end is polished, we'll transition to the back end. You'll learn the intricacies of building backends using Django, a powerful web framework for Python. We'll handle data and implement APIs to support our to-do apps functionality. The magic happens when we bring the front end and the back end together. I'll guide you through the process of connecting these components, creating a fully functional to-do app that is ready to impress. Make sure you stay with us till the end. Each step holds a valuable lesson. Whether you are new to web development or looking to enhance your skills, this tutorial is crafted to provide insights and practical knowledge that you can apply to your own projects. If you find value in this tutorial, which I'm sure you will anyway, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more exciting content, and click the notification bell to stay updated. You can also connect with me on social media, the links will be in the description below. Your support means the world and keeps the tutorial train rolling. Now, let's dive into the wonderful world of building a to do app using Django and React. Ready to code? Let's get started. So this is the app that we are going to be working on. This is the app we are going to be working on. So I have my Django and my React server. Both of them are running concurrently. So if I come here, this is the Django server. Then this is my React server. This is my React server over here. So this is my Django server. This is my React server. So if I want to if I want to add a new task, for example, I can just click on one of these and just click on it. You can see it adds it on top of the list. Okay, so I can filter by all of them. I can filter by only depending tasks. I can filter by completed tasks. Okay, I can just come to all. If I want to mark a task as completed, I can just tick this one and it marks it as completed. But note that when you mark a task as completed, you have this hourglass icon that can give you the opportunity to return it back to pending. Okay, if for one reason or the other you want to return it back to pending, you click on the icon and the icon changes, the color changes. So, and the same thing goes for all of them. And you can see that all these ones having the red border left, they are the pending tasks, and this one with the green, they are the completed tasks. Okay, so if I want to edit the text content of the task, I can just click on this pencil icon. You can see what it is giving me here, task 2476. If I should click on this, you see it updates it. Then I might as well do as if I want to edit a task. If I don't want, if I change my mind, I can just use this icon to close it. Then another thing I can do is to delete. If I just click on this, it deletes it. You can see if I click on this, it deletes it. So that is our app. That is our app, and all everything that I've done here, I did with Django and I did with React. You can see the Django and the React server, both of them. This is the React server, and this is the Django server. And if you stay till the end of, you can see all the APIs that we implemented. You can see every time we perform an action, it is going directly to the backend. So if you stay till the end of the tutorial, trust me, you will be able to do all these things. That everything that you can see here, you will be able to implement it line by line, and you will understand what is happening there. But if at the end of the tutorial you don't understand one or two things, please, the comment section is open, and we as well have a support community where you can ask questions and do all those. All right. right? And another thing is that if by the end of the tutorial, I'm thinking of implementing some other features to this particular application, like user authentication. And if you click on this button to add a new task, instead of having the form over here, what if we have a pop-up or something like that, like a session that will just fade in from the top, that you can just enter your task and you tick it. Okay, so, and if you would have us create more filters, just all fine and good. Just let me know in the comment section, and if I get enough people to request for a particular feature, then I'll redo the application. Okay, but the most important thing is that I want you to understand everything that is happening over here. So yeah, thank you very much. Let's go on. So talking about the prerequisites of the course, the prerequisites, basically you need an understanding of Django REST framework, Django, Python, and React. All right, and everything I have made it easier for you. If you come to our YouTube channel, if you come to our YouTube channel, you will see everything over here. So just scroll down to, just come to playlists. Just come to playlists. If you come to playlists, so what you are looking for is the playlist on the seasoned Python web developer. This is what you are looking for. Just click on it, and these are all the tutorials under the seasoned Python web developer. So you'll be starting from Python itself, then you have the one for Django, then you have the one for Django REST framework. All right, so you also have the one for React over here. I believe that before you want to learn React, you must have a good understanding of JavaScript. Then after JavaScript, you also need a good understanding of HTML. So I believe that you also need a good understanding of CSS. Before, everything you need is in this particular playlist. So just come here and get yourself updated on any of the technologies. So I did a previous tutorial where I explained how to build a CRUD application using Django and React. So you can also check that out as well. So yeah, that will be all for the prerequisites. So now we set up our development environment. So what you want to do is to open a fresh folder on your device. Then after opening the folder, you will open the folder in terminal. So for me to be able to show you this demo over here, I had my terminal running. So I had servers running rather. So I'll close the two servers. I have this Django server running, then I also have my React server running, but I'll have to close the two of them so I can start everything from ground up. Okay, so I'll just leave this page open. Although if I should start another server, the page goes away. So it's just better I close it. But I'll leave this one open. So the next thing I want to do after, okay, so this is my empty folder. I want to open it in the terminal. If you're on Windows, just look for a way to open this folder in terminal. Then after opening it in terminal, you can see that I have the folder over here, ls. You see I don't have anything in the folder. So the first thing I want to do is to create the front end folder and a folder for my backend. The front end, like I said, React is going to be handling the front end. So for me to install React, let me just open this another terminal. So this will be for backend, while this will be the front end terminal. So what I want to do is just npx create React app, and the name of the app will be front end. Okay, so this is going to be installing React for me in this particular in my folder as front end. So you can see it's installing the folder. So let me go and work on creating the folder structure for my backend. So come here, and the first thing I want to do is to create a virtual environment. So inside the virtual environment, I'll create my backend. If you are working on Python stuff like big Python project, or even small ones that you want to use as portfolio, I would advise you to put it in a virtual environment. If you come to the prerequisite over here, this video over here is just 10 minutes long. It will tell you everything you need to know about virtual environments to start. All right, so let's come back here. Okay, this is the front end server. It is still installing React. So while it is still installing React, so virtual env, I want to create a new virtual environment. Normally you will do pip install virtual env, then after that I can say to do env. All right, so it will create a folder for me inside here. You can see to do env. I think React is almost done installing. So this to do env now. The next thing I want to do is to cd inside to do app. No, it should be to do env. So ls. Now the reason why I have to cd into the to do env, if you come here and open it, so if you come to this libraries over here, you have all the libraries required to run a native Python program inside this environment. But we have to install Django REST framework and course headers. All right, we have to install Django REST framework and course headers. Django is the framework that we are using. The REST framework is the extension of Django with which you are going to be creating APIs, and the last one, which is the course headers, is what enables external applications to call your Django API. So come here and let us install. The first thing we want to do is to activate the environment before we install. If we should install like this, it will be installing the Django REST framework, and the course headers. It will be installing it globally in the device, but I want it to be local to this environment only. So what do I do? I'll come here and do something like this: dot bin slash activate, and bam. You can see to do env, this is telling me that the virtual environment I created is now active. What is the next thing to do? After creating that, I can now install all the dependencies. Pip install Django REST framework, Django REST framework. Then after that, I want to install Django course headers. Okay, so it will install it for me in this particular environment. So if you take a good look at this other folder that I have over, you can see Django course headers, Django 5.01, and every other dependency that I will require. So it is installing everything. Now that it has installed the Django course headers and all my dependencies, I can go ahead to start creating the backend itself. So for me to create the backend now, I have to start a new Django project. So Django admin start project backend. Okay, so if I should check all the folders I have backend now. So cd backend. Okay, so now that I'm in backend, I think now that I'm in backend, I need to install a Django app. I believe you understand what I mean by Django app. If you don't, please, you can check this particular course, this Django tutorial itself, like Django itself. So I explained it over there just towards the beginning. So Python manage.py start app, then API is the name of the app I want to create. So if I should ls, I have API, I have backend, I have manage.py, and that is everything I need to install. Okay, and looking at my front end, okay, my front end too is done installing. Get away. So if I should come here to my folder, if I come to backend, you see everything is set. If I come to the to do app itself, you can see the front end also, everything is set. So I think we are done setting up the development environment. So let us go ahead to create the front end. Like I said, we start with the front end. After we are done designing the skin of the application, we'll go ahead, create the back end, then we connect the two of them together. All right, so um, getting started with the front end, I have to close these two VS Code instances that I have before now, so I can create a fresh one. So I can come here and very good. So npm starts for me to start my application. Npm starts. So this will start my front end for me. So it's not starting. Okay, cd front end. Sorry about that. Because if I should ls, this is where I have my node modules and my package.json. So the reason why it wasn't running before is that I'm trying to call the npm from a folder that doesn't have all this requirements. So cd front end. You have to go into the front end folder, then you npm starts. All right. Okay, so it is starting my React application now. Um, so we just have to wait a bit. Just have to wait a bit. Loading it for the first time. All right. Okay. So you can see the React application. It is working fine now. So we go ahead to create our front end. So the first thing I want to do is to open my front end folder in VS Code, and I can just do that using code, then full stop. It will open my front end folder in VS Code. So okay, it's actually opening both the front end and the back end together in VS Code. I don't like to do this. I don't like to do this. I would rather open only the front end in VS Code. So cd front end. So code. Okay, I have only the front end here now, so I can just focus on just the front end. So the first thing I would like to do is to delete all these files that I have over here, all of them. And one express way to do it is just to delete the src folder, then you create it again. So just move it to trash, then you can use this icon over here to create the src folder again. So if you should try to check what you have over here, you can see it is not saying anything anymore, but don't worry, we'll fix it in a few minutes. So the next thing I have to do is to actually create I have to create three new files: index.js, then I'll create my app.js. I will create my app.scss. Like I said, I'm going to be using scss for the styling of this application. So, but before we'll be able to use scss, let us install on all the dependencies required for our front end application. So you can see that I'm in the front end folder now. This is where the front end server is running. This is where I'm going to be installing all the dependencies. If you're on Windows, you might not have a terminal. The command prompt will not permit you to open different tabs like this. You can go to the Microsoft Store, look for a particular software called Terminal. Look for a particular software called Terminal. It allows you to open multiple tabs for your command line interface. Okay, so moving on, for me to install all the packages that I need only three packages. I need one for the icons, I need Axios, with which I'm going to be making a call to the backend. Then I need SAS, which I'm going to be using for styling. So npm install no install React icons. Then after React icons, I'm going to be needing Axios, then SAS. Okay, so I'll just wait a bit for it to install the three of them. It shouldn't take long at all. It shouldn't take long. So you just have to wait. Okay, all of them are installed now, so I can continue what I'm doing. I have app.scss, index.js, and app.js. So I can continue working now. For this index.js, let's quickly write the code we have to write inside. Majority of the code we are writing is in app.js actually. So I'm going to be importing import React from React. Okay. So after importing React from React, you have to import React, then DOM, React DOM from React DOM. Then after doing this, the next thing you want to do is to import app. Actually, I want to use capital letter app from um, app. Okay, so if I should save this, but before I'll be able to use this app, I need to create it. So RAFCE. So the reason why I can do RAFCE is because I have this extension installed, ES7. Yes, this extension over here, EX7. So you can just install it. This extension will help you to generate React snippets. It will help you to generate React snippets on the go. So this should be app. Okay, so if I save this and I come back here now, my app is in. Then I'll just say react dom.render. Then what is the next thing to do? I'll bring in my app, which is what I want to render. Then comma, I want to render it in the root, which is get element document dot get element by id. So what is the id? The id is root, and that is it. If I should come to my application and I reload this, you see I'm having my app over here. I'm having app over here. So it shows that all the code that we've written so far is valid. So come here. I have to import app.scss. Okay. So if I should come here and do something like body background color of red, just to test, come here, you can see my body has the background color of red, so it shows that the SAS file is working. So before we do anything at all, we need to get the font that we want to use. So the font that we want to use is the name is Playfair Display, the other one is Fira Sans. So both of them are available at Google Fonts. So just go to fonts.google.com. Then okay, so you look for Playfair Display. Yes, this first one over here, Playfair Display. You are looking for the one with the font weight of 700. Yes, 700. This one, this first one. So just click it. Dismiss. Then the second one is Fira Sans. Fira Sans. Yes, this one, Fira Sans. So you are looking for the one with the font weight of 400. This one over here, this regular 400. We have regular 400 italic. This is what you are looking for, regular 400. So I think I have all the fonts I need now. So I can just come here. You can connect to this using import. So you just import it into the SAS file. Just copy this and right click, copy, come to your SAS file and paste it there. Alt Z. So these are the fonts I'm going to be using. So since I'm using SAS, I can readily create variables. So creating CSS variables. Don't worry. If you've never used SAS before, don't worry. I'll try to explain every step of the way. I'll make it as simple as possible. When I learned SAS too, I was just on YouTube looking for a tutorial and for a WordPress theme, and luckily I got this tutorial that was working on with SAS. That was how I got to learn SAS. So um what is it? Dollar sign, yes. So dollar sign bg main bg, and I'm going to be using just the regular whites, f. So after doing this, the next variable I want to create is soft bg. Then this soft bg, I want to use it eefof2, eefof2. Then the dark bg, I want to use it as the dark bg, let's say DADEE1. DADEE1. So I think I'm supposed to put this here, then also put this here. So dark BG and I think my three background colors are good to go. So let me now create the main color. So dark color. For the dark color, I'm going to be using 1B 1F24 1B 1F24. Then for the main color, I'm going to be using 41 41 41 41 41 41. Then for the soft color, for the soft color, I'm going to be using B1 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 B1. Okay, so those are my three colors. Those are my six colors rather. But there are some parts of the website where you are going to be having red, green, and maybe yellow or orange. So I created variables. I'm going to create variables for that too. So for the red color, this is the color that I want. I don't want pure red. I want D40000. Then for the green, what I want is OFB400. That is for the green. Then for the maybe yellow, no, for the yellow, I want 9B6500. So 9B6500, yes. So for the yellow. Okay, so before moving further, I want to create my initial CSS to reset the padding and the styling and all those things. So I'll just come here and say padding 0, margin 0. Then I can say box sizing border box. Then after doing this, I'll come to the body and I'm going to set um, the body to the font of Fira Sans. So come back to Google Fonts. If you come down to Fira Sans, where you have Fira Sans, so actually let me copy the two of them. I'm going to save the two of them. So when I need it, um, I'm going to comment this one out. So this one I readily need it. So this is it. So it will just be in the body. So that will be the default font of the website. This is going to be used only on one spot. Only on one spot. So I think my initial CSS is good to go. I think my initial CSS is good to go. If I should come here, you can see that the font have changed. If I should zoom in, you see that the font have changed. This is not the regular font that you have in React applications. So now that my CSS is good to go, so I can come here and start creating the user interface of the website, of the web app rather. So it's a website too, since it's on the web. Well, but I think web app is more appropriate. So to start, I'm going to start by creating this one. I'll say the class name. I'll give this one a class name of outer container. Outer container. Then I'll come inside and create another div. So this div, I'll give it a class name of inner container. Okay. So for this inner container, I'm going to be creating a div, and I'm going to be calling this div class name. I'm going to be calling it header. Okay, header. Then under this header, I'm going to be creating another div that I'm going to be calling. So for this other div, I'm going to be giving it a class name of inner box. Okay, of inner box. So let us style what we have for now. Let us style what we have for now. But I'm going to be having to do app. Actually, to do app. Okay. to do app. If I should come here, you see, I'm not seeing anything, but just wait a bit. Let us style it. So I'm going to be putting my CSS. I'm going to be partitioning my screen into two basically. So I have my React JSX here, then I have the CSS over here. So for me to style this outer container, I can come here and say dot outer container. I want to give it a width of 100%. Then after giving it a width, I'll give it a height of 100 viewport height. So basically I'm occupying the whole screen. Okay, the width is 100%, the height is occupying the height of the viewport. So basically the whole screen is what I'm taking. Then I'm going to be giving it a background color. If you see the dark background color at the back of the application, so I'm going to be giving it a background color of the dark color. Okay, the dark color. So basically it is the background color is going to be taking this color over here, this dark color over here. So for the dark color, after giving it the dark color, I want the content of this particular outer container to be in the center, both horizontally and vertically. Since it's only one element, it is even easier to center. So therefore I'm going to be displaying as flex. Okay, then justify contents, center, then align items center. All right, so and that will be all for the outer container. If I should save this for now, come here, you can see that my to do app is now in the middle of the screen. Okay, so anything that is inside this outer container will come to the middle automatically. So now let us style this inner container. For this inner container, since I'm writing SAS, if I'm writing regular CSS, I can come here and do something like this. Copy this, paste it, then I'll now say dot inner container. Alright, then I'll come here and style it. This is regular CSS. Alright, this is just regular CSS. Another thing I can do, since inner container is a direct descendant of outer container, I can also use this notation over here. Okay, but in SAS you won't do that. You won't do that. In SAS, what you do is that you bring this inner container, you bring it here. Okay, so when it is compiling the SAS, it will compile it to what you will have normally in your CSS. Okay, so see, you can see over here, inner container is a child element of outer container, so I'm permitted to style it this way. So this is one of the advantages of using SAS. So for the inner container, I'm going to be having a width of 300 pixels. Sometimes it feels like designing for a mobile phone. Height of 500 pixels. Okay, so this is what I'm going to be having for the inner container. So if you come back to the inner container, you see that this to do app has gone up basically because I have another container over here that I'm giving to so much space. So if you come back here for this header that we have over here, let me just style it. You can see that I have the to do app as a text inside directly. So I can just come here and say dot header. So header is a child element of inner container, so I'm free to bring the header styling over here. So for the header, I can do the font family will be playfair display. Okay, the font family will be playfair display. So the font family will be playfair display. Then after this one, the next style that I'm going to be giving it, I'll give it a font size of just 2 rem. I love to use rem. So text align center because I want it to be centered. Then I want to transform it to uppercase, although since everything is in uppercase like this, I don't have to do that anymore. But let's just, for the sake of to do app, you can see the way I wrote it now. So text transform uppercase. Okay, so after doing that, I want the color to be the soft background color. So the color, I don't want it to be pure white. I would have used the main background, but since it's the soft color I want, so soft bg. Then I want to give it a space between itself and the next element. So I'll be giving it a margin bottom of just 0.5 rem. All right. So save this. Come here to save this. If I should come here, you can see to do app. So you won't exactly everything is coming to shape. So let us style the inner box. Okay, let us style the inner box. So this inner box, if I want to style my inner box, don't forget that the inner box and the header are both child elements of this inner container over here. So I can just collapse this one, then I'll come and continue with inner box. So inner box. So for this inner box, I want to give it a background color of that soft BG. Okay, so that will be the background color soft BG, and the height of just maybe 400, let me say 410 pixels. Let me give it that extra 10. Then I'll give it a padding of 1 rem, just a padding around it. Then overflow y, the overflow y, I want it to be hidden. Okay, we will see the reason why I have to use overflow y hidden. Then border radius, I want the edges to be curved. Border radius of 0.5 rem. Okay, come here and let us see what we have. So you can see what I have now. Just this curved edges is what the border radius is bringing to the table. So the height is 410. The width is basically occupying the width of the parent. All right. So yeah, let us continue. Let us continue. So inside this inner box, I'll come here and create some elements. So I'm going to be having two divs here. I'm going to be having two divs. The first one is the div for the selected tasks. Okay, the div for the selected task. So div no. So div. So the class name of this div is going to be selected task. Then I'll put in input, which is a text input basically. If you remember the text input in the previous in the demo that I did. So input, then after creating the input, the type is going to be text and the name is going to be description. So type is going to be equal to text and the name is going to be equal to description. Description, I hope I spelled it right. Okay, that is it. So I'm also going to be doing container. So div so class name, so this is going to be btn container. If you remember the button that we are going to be using for that plus button that has the rounded background of the dark color, rounded background. So for this btn container, I'm going to be having font awesome times, and this is going to be coming from react icons. But let me quickly open your eyes up to something. All these fonts, you can come to react icons page. So if you come here, yes, it was hosted with GitHub pages. So if you come here, you will see all those icons. So I can just come here and look for times. I think I used this font or sometimes that is what I used. So I can just copy this one, copy the whole of this, and I will take it to the top of my project as an import. Then no, I didn't copy it properly. So Control C, come here, then Control V. Okay. So the next thing I want to do is to bring this font awesome. Okay, since I've imported it already. So the next one that I want to bring in is the update button. Okay, is the update button. But when we start styling it, you will understand it better. So for the update button, I think it is gr update. So let me just come here. I've created the app before, so I have everything in my notes. Yes, this is it, gr update. So come here and copy. I couldn't find an update icon with font awesome, so I had to use an alternative. So come here, copy, bring the gr update into this place. Okay, and that will be all for the the selected task. So I created something similar for the new task. So I can just copy the whole of this and I'll paste it here. So this is this should be font awesome plus. I think it's coming from this one. So if I click enter now, it will import it for me automatically. You can see far plus and far times. Both of them are coming from font awesome. So font awesome. Then I'll close this one. Yes, I'll close this one. So, but this is going to be new task. This is going to be new task. New task. Exactly. So if I should save this and I go to my screen, you will see how ugly my screen looks now. You can see how ugly it looks, but don't worry, we're gonna fix it. So let's go and start styling what we have up to this point. For us to style it, I'm going to be using this btn container in different parts of the project. So it is not wise for me to come inside this inner box and create the btn container there. It is not wise. The wise thing to do will be to come to maybe the outer container. Yes, it's a good place to put it. So well, let me just put it here. Actually, the inner container, I can put it in the inner container, but while I was preparing for the course, this is where I put it. So let me just stick to what I did. btn container. So for this btn container now, I want the width of the btn container to be 3 rems. Okay, and I also want the height to be 3 rem. The reason why I want the width and the height to be equal is so that I can have a perfectly round circle. If I'm giving it that background, I want the background to be perfectly round, so the width and the height have to be the same. So, and I want the icon itself to be in the middle of that container. So display flex, justify content, center, then also align items center. Okay, justify content center, then align items center. Then I want to give it a background color of that dark color. That is what I want to give this btn container. So background color of that dark color. Okay, so after giving it that background color, I'm giving it a border radius of 2 rem so that it can be perfectly round. Then I'll give it cursor pointer so that when I take my cursor over it, the cursor will change. Then the last thing I want to do is the transition. So the transition will be 0.2 seconds is. So I think the transition is supposed to, I like to put it as the last item. So yes. Now let me create the hover state. Let me create the hover state. Normally when you want to create a hover state in your regular css, what you would do is that you will copy this and you bring it here, then hover. Okay, this is what you would do in regular css. I think it is one. This is what you would do in regular css, but in SAS gives you the opportunity to write it like this. Just bring an ampersand, then hover. Okay, and you can write your hover state. you can write your hover state. So for the hover state, I'm going to be giving it a, basically I want to fade the background color a bit. So just to fade the background color a bit. So background color RGBA. So this RGBA, I'm going to be giving it dark color. So that dark color, this same dark color here, the only thing I'm going to be doing is that I'm going to fade it a bit, so 0.95. Okay, the regular color, like the color it will be on normally for this alpha value is going to be 1. Okay, and 1 means completely opaque. Okay, if you put it in 0, it will be completely transparent, but completely opaque is what it is having, and I don't want it to be completely transparent, so I just want to fade it a bit. So that is why I'm using 0.95. Okay, so all these icons, when React render them, it is going to be rendering them as SVG. Okay, it's going to be rendering them as SVG. So what I want to do now is to style the SVG. For me to style the SVG, I can just come here, SVG. Since the, don't forget, all the icons are children of btn container, so I can just come here and start the svg. Then I'll say the color will be equal to the main background, main bg. So after that, the font size is going to be 1.5 rem, 1.5 rem. So you can see that the width and the height of this one is 3 rem, so I just want this one to be, to not overpower the background, so I'm reducing the font size. Well, overpower is not the right word, but I hope you understand what I mean. So come here, let us see what we have. You can see how the buttons are looking. If you hover over it, you see how it fades it just a bit, just a bit. And the reason why it is making it a form of smooth transition, so is because of that transition and the ease. If you come here, because of this transition, 0.2 seconds is, that's the reason why it is making it very smooth to fade and unfade, if there's anything like that. So let me go back to my inner box. So in the inner box where I have the selected tasks and the new task, I'm going to be styling the two of them together. I'm going to be styling the two of them together. So I can come to my inner box and I will do something like dot new task. I want to style this selected task and new task. I want them to have some similarities. So I can do something like new task, comma, then dot selected task. Then after doing that, um, I'll give it a width of 100%. So meaning that I want it to occupy the whole screen. Okay, then I'll display it as grid. So displaying as grid, and the grid template columns is going to be auto, then 3 rem. Now the reason why I want to give it auto 3 rem is because if you check the case of this new task, I have input and I have this particular btn container, and if you remember the styling of btn container, the width is going to be 3 rem. So I want it to occupy the whole of that 3 rem, then auto. So I'm going to be giving it a gap of gap of 1 rem. Okay, so now that I've given it a gap of 1 rem, the gap is going to be the spacing between the input and the button itself. Let me save this and let us go and check. So this is the one I want you to look at for now. Leave this one. I'm going to make a bit of modification to this one. So you can see this input text area, and you can see the addition button to add a new task. You can see the button over here. So that is it basically. Now let us style these two inputs, this text input. Let us style it to make it look nicer. So you can see when I select it, it gives me black this ugly black border. I don't want it. I don't want it. So basically the border, I'm going to be setting it to none. I'm also going to be setting the outline to none. Border none, outline none. Okay, so I'm going to be doing input where if you remember your attribute selector in CSS, if you remember your attribute selector, type equal to text. Okay, so type equal to text. If we want to, no, type equal to text. So now the first thing I want to do is that the border is going to be none. Then the outline also is going to be none. Then I'm going to be giving it a border bottom of just 2 pixels solid, and I want it to be that main color. Okay, main color. And I want the font size to be 1 rem. I want the width to be 100%. Okay, then I want the background color to be transparent. Just take away the background color completely. Then I want to give it a padding, a very funny padding. So the padding, just padding left and right. So I can write my padding in such a way that the padding top and bottom will be taking 0. Then the padding left and right will be taking 0.25 rem. So 0.25 rem is 4 pixels basically. So then the color will be the main color. Okay, so save this. If I should come back here now, you can see what the two of them is giving me. I can come here, I can type. Okay, then I can come here, I can also type. All right, so I'm going to be making a bit of modification to accommodate the what I have over here. If you remember vividly, for the selected task I said the grid template column is going to be auto 3rem. Okay, auto 3rem. But for this other one, I'm going to be selecting this one. I will make this one auto 2rem so that all of them can be on the same line. That is the first thing. Then I will be editing these individual buttons to make sure that it is accommodating, because I'm giving it 2rem in the grid template columns and these buttons are 3rems wide. So I have to look for a way to reduce the buttons as well to accommodate everything on the same line. How can I do that? So come to, if I close this one so that I can just dot selected task. So for this selected task now, what I want to do is to give it a grid template columns of auto 2rem auto 2rem 2rem. For this other one that I did over here, I made provision for only 2 columns. Okay, for only 2 columns, but in the case of the selected task alone, I'm making room for 3 columns. All right, and if you take a good look at the selected task over here, I have 3 elements. Okay, so I want to accommodate all of them in the same column. If you come here, I have 3 elements, 1, 2, and 3. In the case of the other one, I have only 2. So if I say auto 3rem is fine, but for this one, if I want to accommodate everything in the same column, I'm going to be having auto 2rem. So then I have to reduce the size of the button as well. So I can just come here and select .btn container. Then after doing that, I'll say the width should be 2rem. Then the height will be 2rem. Okay, then I'll bring in the svg. All right, svg. So I want to start. Don't forget that the default style of the svg, if you come here, the default style of the svg is 1.5 rem, but that is not what we want. We want the svg to be smaller, since I'm having the width and height of 2rem now. So I can give it a font size of 1rem. All right, so save this and come back here. You can see that, but you can see that everything is now on the same line. Everything is now on the same line. So I'll just leave these ones for now. When we start connecting the backend, it will be easier for us to write a logic that will determine which of these two is going to be showing. One of them at the runtime of the application, both of them will not be showing. Only one of them will be showing at a particular time. All right, but let's just continue for now. So come back here, and my selected task and my new task, I'm done with that. So let me now style the filters. So if you remember the filters for all pending and completed, so div So class name, this class name is going to be filters. Okay, so for this filters now, I'm going to be having let me create an inner div. So I'm going to be calling class name inner. So for this inner div, I'm going to be creating three spans. So span, so this is going to be all. Then the next one is going to be pending. Control copy. Then so this is going to be pending, while this is going to be completed. All right. So all pending and completed. If I should save this and I come back here, you see it is just looking unpalatable to the eyes. So let's go and get it working. So my selected task and my new task, I'll be collapsing those. Then let me open a new one for filters. Don't forget the class name that we are using is filters. So for the filters, I'm going to be giving it a width. Don't forget 100%, so it can take up the whole screen. Then after giving it the width of 100%, I want to give some space between the filter and the form upstairs and the form on top. So I'm going to be giving it a margin top of one rem, and I'm going to be giving it a margin bottom of one rem, margin bottom of one rem. Then I'm going to be displaying as flex, and I will justify the content center. Okay, so if I display as flex and justify the content center, see what I'm having currently, all pending and completed. They are in the center, but I have to give some sort of gap between all of them. And I'm going to be targeting that inner class, then I'll use it to display them as grid and give them the gap. Okay, so how can I do that? Don't forget I have filters, and inner is a child of filters. So I can come here and say dot inner, then after saying dot inner, I can display the inner as grid. Then after displaying it as grid, I will give it a gap of one rem. Then I want it to be auto. So whatever is the space of the content is what it's going to be having. So the grid template columns, I can tell it to repeat 3 times auto. I've never had to write it like this before. Let me see if it works. Okay, yeah, it works. Auto. Normally I would say auto, but I guess this is a more professional way to write it. So the next thing I want to do is to target all these elements, all this span element over here, is to target them and give them a bit of good look. So how can I do that? Just come here and target the span. Then after targeting the span, the next thing I want to do is to give it a font size of no font size of 0.75 rem. I don't want to give it 1 rem. I don't want it to be as big. Then I'll give it a color of that main color. Okay, I want to give it a color of main color. Then I want the cursor to be pointer, because it's going to be like a button. It's going to be performing some action. So when you hover your mouse on it, I want the mouse to change. Then I want to give it a transition of 0.25 seconds is. Then after doing that, the next thing I want to do, I want to write the hover state. Okay, so the hover state, don't forget, like I said, you can write your hover state like this, just ampersand hover, and then you say the color should change to dark color. Okay, so it is main color, but the color should change to dark color when you hover over it. So let me save this and come back here. So you see how it is looking now. When you hover your mouse over it, it changes color. Okay, and you can see it's a bit smaller now. So let us move on to the last part of the front end, which is the part that displays the tasks. So before we move on, we have to copy something. So I generated some tasks list using ChatGPT. Thanks to ChatGPT. Ask me later. So it generated this for me that I can use for development. Then later I'll go to the backend, create an actual backend where I can get data from. But just for our use case, let us use this one. So I'll copy the whole of this one. Don't worry, it will be available. It will be available in the GitHub repo. Just check the link in the description below. You will see the link to the GitHub repo. Just go there. All the resources are there. All the code we are going to be writing will be there live. So come here and at the top here, just paste it here. So you see that I have my task list over here. So I can continue writing what I want to write. So close my filters. Then here comes the tasks themselves. So div, then don't forget this is going to be class name. Then after the class name is going to be tasks, tasks, yes, tasks. Then after doing tasks, I'm going to be writing a condition over here. So we call it conditional rendering, I think. No, I'm using the ternary operator here. So the ternary operator is going to be saying that. No. So the ternary operator is saying that task list. Okay. So task list. If the task list is not empty, then I want you to come and do some things for me. But if it is empty, I just want it to come and tell me directly that it is empty, so it doesn't break my heart. So just do this, and this is going to be a span. So no, so no tasks available. I must be missing something. I must be missing something. No tasks. No, this is not supposed to be. No tasks available. No tasks found. So I'm going to be using the .map notation here. So task list dot map. Okay, the reason why this was shouting initially is because I have not put something here. So list dot map. So because I want to render a list, so this is how you render a list in React. So you are going to be taking the single task, the task itself, and I want to give it an index, but I won't be needing it. But um, let me just add it. Then then I can render the single list now. I can render the single list. So what do I want to do? The first thing I want to do is to create a div. So this div, or let us render the text first. Let us do something like this. I'll just bring in a paragraph so we can render each task. So for this paragraph now, I will just say task dot description. If I save this, don't forget. So each of the tasks has a description. If you come here, you see ID, you see description. So let us see what it looks like for now. So if I come here and I check this out, you can see clean the house. I cannot scroll, I can't do anything, but we'll add the CSS, and the CSS will give us the ability to do all those. Okay. So moving on, inside of each of the individual tasks where I have this, what I want to do first is that I will create a div. So this div, I will give it a class name. So I'll give it a class name. The class name is going to be dynamic. The class name is going to be dynamic. So let me just give it this. Then I will use this backtick. So that backtick now, I'm going to be giving it a class name of single task. Okay. Then I'm going to be using a template string in JavaScript where I can bring in this dollar sign. then I can inject data or I can inject an expression. I will now say the current task. Okay, if it is completed, if task.completed is true, if you come here, you will see that for everything I have here, completed is either true or false. All right, it can either be true or false. So now, if it is true, I'm going to be giving it a border right of green. But if it is false, I'm going to be giving it a border right of left. Actually, border left of red. So let's just follow along. So if task dot completed is true, basically, what I want to do is that I'm going to be giving it a class of completed. Else, I'm going to be giving it a class of pending. Okay, so now I can come into this place and let me take this p tag, let me take it in here so that the program can stop all these red lines I'm having. What is the meaning of this? Okay, let me just copy Control X, then come here and paste it. So after pasting that one, the next thing that I want to do is to say is to create the actions. So all those icons in front of each of the tasks, this is where I'm going to create it. So all those icons, I can have something like div, no, div, don't forget, no, div. Then I'm going to be giving this a class name. I'm going to be giving it a class name of actions. So for these actions, I'm going to be having three buttons at a time, but in its real sense, four buttons are going to be there. Two of them are going to be rendered conditionally, but for now, let us just move on. Then I'm going to be having yes, I'm going to be having three buttons. So div. So this div for this one, I'm going to be having a class name of btn container. Don't forget our btn container. If you come up here, you will see our btn container. If you come up here, you can see the btn container over here. So that is it basically. So for the btn container, don't forget I'm going to be having three buttons here. So I'm going to be having btn container, then I will give it an extra class btn with which I can write specific classes for this button. Then I'm going to be giving it the edit class. So the edit is what I'm going to be using to add color to it. Then I'm going to be bringing in a button io pencil outline. So but this is available here, so I can just bring up the okay, this is it over here. So this is where I will be importing it from. Copy, then come here to the top of my project and paste it. So my IO pencil outline is good to go. Then that will be the first one. Then the second one, just copy the second one. So this one is completed. Okay, so this one is font awesome check. Font awesome check. So yes, this first one over here, font awesome check. So it will, as I clicked on it, it will automatically bring it in for me. So after that one, the last one is going to be font awesome trash for delete. So come here, copy, then for delete. Okay, so this will be font awesome, then reg trash, trash can. So it is not giving me inside here, so let me go and look for it. So this is it. So copy. Okay, it is coming from font awesome 6. So not the regular font awesome. So let me just put it here. So you can see that this one is the regular font awesome. Why this one is font awesome 6. So copy and paste it here. Okay, I think it's the same thing. So save it. If I come here and see what I'm having, you can see how ugly everything is looking. Let's go and style it. It won't even allow me to scroll, but don't worry, we are in safe hands. Let's go to style it. So let me just bring it in a bit. So I'm going to be starting from these tasks over here. So come here, then yeah, filters. So dot tasks. So for these tasks, I'm going to be giving it a height of let me say 285 pixels, and I'm going to be giving it a width of 100 pixels. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to give it an well, overflow y of auto. Then I want to hide the scroll bar. I want to hide the scroll bar. If you want to scroll, you can just use your hand to scroll it. I don't want it to have a scroll bar. So there are different ways you do it for different web browsers. If you're on Internet Explorer and Microsoft Edge, you are going to be using ms overflow style, then none, for you to hide the scroll bar. For Internet Explorer and Edge. But if you are for Firefox, you do something like scroll bar with, then you say none. So, but if you are on Chrome, you have to use a pseudo class rather. So you have to do something like sc- webkit webkit scroll bar. Yes, scroll bar. Then you display as none. Okay, so let me save this first. If I should come here, you can see what I'm having now. You can see it is allowing me to scroll now. Okay, it is allowing me to scroll now. So everything is coming together. So um we are coming together. The next thing that we are going to be doing is to style the single task. Okay, you can see that I have multiple tasks over here. So now I want to style a single task. But before we move forward, let me quickly do something. So I can do something like background color of red. If I should save this, it is giving me just one portion. Control Shift I. Something is wrong somewhere. This is the inner box. So this is the tasks, and the tasks, the width is okay. The width is supposed to be 100%. Sorry about that. Supposed to be 100%. Supposed to be 100%. So let me quickly go out because I knew that something was wrong somewhere. So the width is supposed to be 100%. 100%. Okay, so that was what I was trying to fix with this, but I think we are good to go now. The next thing I want to do is to style individual tasks. Okay, individual task, this single task over here. So I can decide to put it inside task since a single task is a child element of the task. So come here and do something like dot single hyphen task. So for the single task now, I'm going to be giving it a padding. So padding top and bottom of 0.25 rem, then padding left and right of 0. Okay. Then after doing that, the next thing I want to do is to give it a padding left, so I can give some space between the border between the border left and the content itself. Don't worry, I'll when we see it. Padding left of 0.5 rem. Then after giving it the padding left of 0.5 rem, margin bottom of 0.5 rem to give some spacing between the current element and the element underneath. Then I'll display as grid, okay, so that everything can be on the same line. I'll make provision for it. Now if you take a good look at each of the single tasks, I'm having two elements. Okay, the first element is this p tag over here, then the next element is the actions container. Okay, if I should collapse this one now, you can see that it's only two elements. I have this p tag, then the actions container. So I'm going to be using a grid to display all of them, both of them in the same line. So that is why I'm using this display grid over here. So display grid template columns auto, then 5 rem, then I'll give it a gap of 1 rem, then align items to the center. Okay, then after doing this, come here, you see that both of them are now on the same line, but you can see these three buttons over here. These three buttons, they are just as big as this one over here. They are just as big as this one over here. So if you remember the trick I used for this one, it's the same trick I want to use here now. It's the same trick I want to use. So I'm going to be doing something here now. Before we go ahead to style the buttons, we have to do the pending, completed, and whatsoever. So if it is pending dot completed, okay, let us write for completed first. For this completed, the border left, don't forget the border left is going to be 4 pixels solid. Then it's going to be having the green color. Then for pending, I'm going to be having pending. This is going to be carrying that red color. Okay, so you can see how I can use the variables to make my work way easier. But one thing is that if all of them they are having a border bottom, I will not want the last child to have the border bottom. I want the last child to be touching the container. So I can use this class over here. So last child. So for this last child, I'm going to be giving it a border bottom. Okay, I didn't use the border button. It's just margin bottom. So this margin bottom is going to be a none. Okay, but if you remember for here, the margin bottom is 0.5 rem. So, but for this one, I don't want the last child to have the margin bottom. So that is it basically. But for the paragraph itself, for the paragraph tag, don't forget this paragraph over here. This paragraph tag. Where is it? This p tag over here that carries the description. I want to style it now. So styling that one, I'm having width, then 100%, width of 100%, then the font size of 0.75 rem. Okay, I want it to be smaller than 1 rem. So save this, and if I should come back here, you see that it is getting smaller. Okay, it's coming along, and you can see that some of them, the status is completed. This one, it shows that it's completed. This one is pending, is completed, is pending, completed, pending, completed, pending. I think ChatGPT just made everything uniform. So one completed, one pending, one completed, one pending. So now I want to style the actions. I want to style the action buttons. So the action buttons basically are these three buttons over here. I think that is the last part of the front end. So these three buttons over here is what I want to style now. For me to style them, I have to come here and do something like dot actions. Okay. So for these actions, I want to display it as grid. Okay. Display as grid. then grid template columns repeat, then 3 comma 1 fr. Okay, so if I should come here, you see that it is trying to put everything inside one column over here, but you see it is overflowing the screen, but I don't want it to overflow the screen. Don't worry, we'll fix all of them. So after giving it that grid template column, the next thing I want to give it is a gap of 0.1 rem, which is 1.6 pixels basically, and the width is going to be 100%. But let me go ahead to reduce the width and the height of those buttons. So that is the reason why I added that btn class, if you remember the btn class for each of them. So open it. So this btn container over here is taking that global btn styling, but this btn over here is what I want to use to reduce the size, and I'm going to use svg also to reduce the size of the icons inside. So come here, and after writing your actions, then the next thing I'm going to be writing is .btn. So for this btn, which is the button, I'm going to be doing a width of 1.5 rem and also a height of 1.5 rem. Okay, so now to style the svg inside, I can just say .svg. So for the svg, I'm going to be giving it a font size of 0.75, 0.7 rem rather. Okay, 0.7 rem. So if I should save this and I come back here, something is wrong somewhere. It's okay, exactly. So it have reduced. I think I need to I'm missing something. I'm missing something. Something is wrong somewhere. Okay, I used .svg. I'm supposed to write just svg, not .svg. .svg will make it think it's a class, but it's svg is an element itself. So come here and you can see, yes, you can see it's working fine now. So but you know that all these buttons, they have different colors. They're going to be having different colors, and you can see the cursor pointer for all of them. So let me just add the colors to it and we can move over to the backend. Okay, so let me just add the colors to it. So for me to add the colors, I can just come here. One thing is that we are not seeing the end of this list. Okay, if you come here to this class lists that we have on top here, um, if you come here, you see this clean the house, finish homework. If you come here, no, so clean the house. I think clean the house is the last one. Yeah, clean the house is the last one, but you can see that it is almost cutting some part off. When we fix the discrepancies between these two, it is going to automatically fix this one as well. So but for now, let's just add the colors and go and create the backend. So for us to add the colors is very easy. All we have to do is that, don't forget that btn, they have the same. So dot edit. So for this edit, I'm going to be having background color of yellow. Yellow. Don't forget that yellow. The one for the variable that we created upstairs. Then for the hover state, for the hover state, then I'm going to be having background color. I'm going to be having a background color of RGBA. So this is going to be yellow as well. Um, Yellow, but I'm going to be fading it just a bit. So this one is going to be 0.8. 0.8. Okay. So after this one, just copy the whole of this and paste it here. So, but this one is going to be delete. So delete It's going to be delete. Then instead of this yellow over here, this is going to be red. Then you come here, you paste it again. This is going to be completed. Okay, completed. So this is going to be green. So if you come here, where am I getting all these CSS classes from? So you can see that this one is for delete, this one is for completed, and this one is for edit. Okay, while you are writing the CSS, just try to compare it to the HTML. Everything will come into place. So come here and you can, it is not giving me those colors. Okay, yes, it has updated. I think it was trying to load initially. So you can see all of them. When you hover on them, it gives you all these special hover states. Okay, so that will be all for the front end. That will be all for the front end. Let us go ahead to work on the back end, which is the sweet part, obviously. So we move on to the back end. Let me open my terminal. So this is the front end terminal. So I have two terminals. This is the back end terminal. So my virtual environment is active. Let me clear this terminal. It looks so ugly. Okay, so the next thing I want to do, my virtual environment is active, please don't forget. So ls, I have API backend manage.py. So let me just confirm installation by doing python manage.py, then run server. So I have this thing over here, so just click on it and it is not opening. Okay, yes. So you see the Django installation is working fine. So the first thing I want to do is to go to, actually I want to off this server first. So after killing the server, I have to go to settings.py so that I can, wait, I need to even open VS Code for my backend. This VS Code is for front end. So code, so I have two VS Code windows now, one for backend and one for front end. So I want to go to my backend settings.py. Then from here, I'll come to installed applications. Don't forget, I created an API app. So API, then, but before that one, I'm going to be having framework, REST framework. Then I'm going to be having course headers as well. Let me just go to course headers, come to the web browser. You will see course headers. So just Django course headers. So you will see this. I think it should be this first one over here. Go away. So just come here. Yes. For the installed application, you copy this. The course headers is what will make the front end be able to call your app in the first place. If you don't add these course headers, then you might be on your own. You might be, your backend might be on its own because nobody will be able to use it. So course headers, this is it over here. You have to add this middleware. So come here, then the middleware or z. So this middleware, paste it here. Then the next thing, you have to create a variable Django, no, allowed origins, your course allowed origins. Copy the whole of this, then come here and paste it. Course allowed origin. I can just come here and I'll put it here equal to, it has to be a list of strings. Come here. This is my front end, so I can just copy this. After copying this, I'll come here. No, I'll come here to include it, but I'll remove the final slash. So after doing that, the next thing I want to do is to go and create my model. I think I'm done with my settings.py, so I can close this. Now I'll go to my API. So if I go to my API, I'll go to models.py, I'll create my model, and the only model I want is just class to do. So this class to do is going to be taking models dot model, and I'm going to be having the description. I want it to take up the same precedence as this one over here, if you remember vividly. So I'm having an ID. Django will give me the ID automatically. I'm having description and completed. So basically, description and completed other um, are the two other fields that my model will have. So description equal to model dot character field. So the maximum length, let me do a maximum length of maybe 255. Let's see. So then the next one will be completed. So this completed is going to be true or false. All right. Description and completed. So the completed, I can do models dot boolean field. So this boolean field, I can default it default to false. So I'll default it to false. Every time you create a new to do, automatically, if you don't specify if it is true or false, I will assume that you want to do it. So meaning that the completed is going to be false. All right. So I'm going to be defaulting this to false. Then let me come here and do something like def the string representation, which is going to be having self. So for this self, if the length of self dot description, if the length of self dot description is greater than 30, then what I want to do is to return self dot description, basically the first 30 characters. Then after doing that, I'm going to be adding a string, and that's it. That is it. But return self dot description. So if it doesn't run this, then obviously it will come and return this. At this point, it will break out of the method. But if it doesn't encounter this return statement, then it will just go with this one. So let me make it available in my admin panel. I'll just go to admin.py, then from .models import to do. Okay, .models import to do. Then admin.site.register to do. Okay, register to do. So before we continue, let me quickly make migrations. Then where's my terminal? For me to make my migrations, python manage.py make migrations, then python manage.py migrate. So this is me registering a migration for the model that I just created. Okay, when we talk about models in Django, you are basically talking about database tables and the fields associated with that particular table. So this first command is going to register that model that I want to commit it to my database. It hasn't been committed. Okay, so it is this migrate command that will actually commit it to the database. So migrate. So the reason why you are seeing all these other migrations, they are default tables that Django created for sessions, for user authentication, and all those things. So they are available. Now, for me to be able to access the admin interface of Django, I need to create a super user, my own super user. So the reason why I can create a super user is because I've committed all these things to the database. If you haven't committed them, you will not be able to create a super user. So you won't be able to create any user at all. So, but since I've created them, I can go ahead to create my super user. So um, Python manage.py create super user, then username admin, email admin@admin.com, and that is it. Bypass password validation. Okay. So now my super user is created. I can python manage.py, then run my server so I can go and see what is happening in my admin dashboard. So come here, and if you come to the place where, yes, so let me close this, and let me also close this and close this. So okay, so this will be slash admin, so username admin, then okay, so just close this one for now. So you can see the reason why I'm seeing this API whatsoever over here is because of that to do that I created. This yes, this admin.py, what I did here. So if I open my to dos, so you can see what my to dos look like. So I don't have any to dos for now. I can just add to do. Then the description, call Samuel. Have it be completed? No. Save. Okay, you can see call Samuel. The reason why it is giving me call Samuel is because of that string representation that I did. If you remember models, this thing I did over here. Okay, let me write something that is more than call Samuel. So let me add a new one. Study study for mathematical methods two, handled by Professor Julius Ehige. No, Ehige. So I hope you will see this when he becomes a professor. So let me just set this as completed for now. Just save. You see, the characters, they are more than 30, so it is just truncating the excess. Then it is giving me these three dots. And the reason why it is giving me that is because of this thing I have over here. Okay. So now that it is obvious that we have a working model, I can go ahead to create the remaining parts of the backend. So how can I do that? I need to create a serializer. So the serializer is what is standing as an interface between converting the Python object to a dictionary that you can easily send out, and you converting from the data that you are getting from the user to something that you can easily send back to Python as an object. Okay. So come back here, and in the API folder, I'm going to be creating serializers.py, and in my serializers, I'm going to be doing something like this: from REST framework.serializers, import serializer, model serializer, yes, alt C. Let me just make it. So import model serializer. Then from dot models import. What do I want to import again? I want to import to do. Okay. So basically, I'm going to be creating a class called to do serializer, and it's going to be inheriting from the Django model serializer. Then I'm going to be creating a class meta. So this meta over here is going to be having the model attribute, which is going to be to do, and after to do, I'm going to be giving it the fields fields equal to a string, or, and that is it. And my serializer is ready to go. Then from here, I can go to my views and start writing all the views. So I don't need this first. Let me just take everything out. So the first thing that I want to do, I have a lot of things to import actually. So from REST framework.generics, I want to import list create API view, and I want to import retrieve update destroy retrieve update destroy API view. Yes, let's see. So these are the two API views I need. I love to use generic API views because it has done a lot of work for me. Actually, the best thing to use will be view set, but I want to, for people that are just watching Django for the first time, I think generic API views will be less tasky to understand. But please just check the prerequisites. Everything you need to understand, they are there. So these generic API views, if you come under the this course over here, Python Django API development, you will see the I broke everything into chapters. Just look for the one that has generic API views in it. So after bringing this one, the next one I want to bring up is from REST framework dot decorators. I want to import API view. Then after that, I want to bring in get object of 404. So from Django dot shortcuts import get object of 404. Yes. Then the next one I want to bring in model to dict from Django dot forms. I want to bring in import model to dict. Then after bringing in that one, I have a lot of things to import. I just want to import everything once from REST framework dot okay, let me just import status directly. Status. Then after bringing in status, I want to also bring in response. So from REST framework dot response import response. After this one, the last thing I want to bring in, actually the second to the last, from dot serializers import to do serializer, then from dot models import the to do. Okay, so we can start creating our views. Now the first view that we are going to be creating is the home view. This home view is going to contain all the routes, like a bit of API documentation. All right, so I intentionally did this so that, let me create a urls.py file, but let it be there first. Let me create this first view. So for this first view, I'm going to be writing a function based view API. You can also check that API course for function based views. So I'm going to be using I think it defaults to get, but let me just add it. So def home, so request request, then now I'm going to copy something from here. I've written the routes already to save us time. I've written the routes already, so copy this and paste it here. So these are the routes that we're going to be creating. So after doing this one, return return response routes, return response routes. So save this and come to urls.py. Then this urls.py has to be in API. Then import from Django dot urls import path. Yes, I got it. So we create a variable called URL patterns. So this is what you're going to be writing. This is where you're going to be mapping. No, it should be a list. This is where you are going to be mapping the the user's request to a particular view. So you come here, you create a path. The first path I want to create is going to just be an empty path like this. Then let me import from dot views import home. So I'll just come here, home, then name will be equal to API mini, no, API mini, or let me just say API home, just to keep it simple. So then after doing this one, I have to connect this urls.py to the project urls.py. So I can just come here and say import path and include. So come here and say path. Then I'm going to be using this, then include API dot urls. If I save this and because I have REST framework installed and everything working fine, if I should start my server, okay, my server is running. So if I should come here and try to do, if I try to go to the application home itself, just the app home itself, you see what I'm getting now. You see what I'm getting. You see what I'm getting. So endpoint API. So this particular endpoint will return an array of to-dos. This one, if I want to filter the to-dos by maybe the pending or the completed to-dos only, if I want to create a new to-do, so if I want to, all the endpoints, these are the endpoints basically. So after doing this, the next thing I want to do is to come to for this route, close this one. So let me start creating the other route. So I want to create, I'm going to be using two class-based views now, and they are going to be coming from the generic views to save us time. So class to do, I want to do the create list view. Okay, the create list view. So this create list view now, it is going to be coming from list create view, then the query set. Don't forget the query set is going to be equal to do dot objects dot all. But I'm going to be playing a trick on Django here. I want Django to be giving me the most recent tasks. So the most recent tasks will be at the top, then the older tasks will be beneath. So what trick can I play? I'll just use, since I'm not having any date field in my model, the best thing to use would have been a date field, but I didn't include it in my models. So I can just use the ID to filter it. So basically, the ID, the most recent, the IDs are going to be coming from 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, like that. So obviously, the most recent items are going to be having larger IDs, like 10. If 10 is the largest of all the IDs, then obviously 10 is the most recent task available. So I'm just going to order by, then I'm going to be doing this negative ID. So basically it will reverse the list. So it's not as if it will reverse it, just get it. It is going to be giving me from the most recent, from the biggest IDs to the smallest one, basically from the most recent tasks to the biggest tasks. So the serializer class is going to be equal to do serializer. So I think that will be all for this particular view. It is giving me the list create functionality. Then come here. So this is going to be the read, update, and destroy view. So that will be read. What did I do here? Retrieve, update, and destroy. So that will be retrieve, update, and destroy. So this has given me the CRUD functionality basically. This has given me all the CRUD functionality I need. But I'm going to be creating two extra views. The first view is going to be what I will use to toggle between completed and pending. Okay. So if a task is completed and you call this particular view, it will automatically turn the task to pending. If the task is pending before you call this view, it will automatically turn it to completed. All right. So come to come come here and at API view. So this API view, I think the method is going to be patch. So the method is going to be patch. So since I want to do an update, and I'm not updating the whole model, I'm just updating one. I'm updating only one attribute. So def toggle completed. So to toggle this completed now, I'm going to be using the requests, the user's request, and I'm going to be taking the primary key from the user. Okay, the user will be giving me the primary key. Then the first thing I want to do is to retrieve the instance of my model. Okay, using this key, for you to have given me this key, it shows that the model that has this key, the entry that has this key is what you want to update. So I have to retrieve that entry first. So I'll say instance equal to get object of 404, the one I imported here, this get object of 404. So, and what model do I want to get? I want to get the to do model, and the primary key will be equal to the primary key. So this primary key is what they are going to use to search, while this pk is the one the user gave me. So I believe you understand. Then I'm going to be saying data. I'm going to be converting this instance. This instance is going to be an object, but before I'll be able to use it the way I want to use it, I have to convert it to a dictionary first. Okay, so converting it to a dictionary, now I'm going to be using this model to dict to convert it. So I'm going to say something like data equal to model to dict, then instance. Okay, so after saying model to dict equals to instance, I want to do the update now. I want to do the update now. I want to modify the instance with the updated value. So basically, what I would do is, since this data is now a dictionary, I will just say data completed. Okay, equal to not data completed, and that is it. This is where the modification takes place. After making this modification, the next thing I want to do is just to commit back to my database, but I want to use the serializer. Okay, I want to use the serializer, so I can just say the serializer the serializer will be equal to the to do serializer. Then I'm going to be passing my instance. Okay, I'm going to be passing my instance. Then I'm going to be saying data equal to data. So this instance basically is the object, the original object in the database. I'm supplying the updated data. Okay, this is the updated data over here. So I'm now going to do something like this. I'm now going to do something like this. I'm going to save the serializer basically, and I'm going to say if the serializer dot is valid. Okay, if the serializer is valid, then just save the serializer dot save. Then after saving the serializer, return a success message. So return response. Yes, return response. Then serializer dot data. Then after returning serializer dot data, the status of the response is going to be status dot http, no, http 200. Okay, that is what you want to return. So but if for one reason or the other you encounter an error, if the serializer is not valid, then just a precaution, you have to return an error, return response. Okay, and this response now is going to be carrying the serializer.errors. Serializer.errors. One of the advantages of using these serializers are these errors that it can automatically detect. Okay, it will just detect everything, package it properly, and send it back to the user. So this status is going to be status dot http 400. I want 400 badge requests, and that is it. So the last view that I'm going to be writing is the view that we get the filtered data. Okay, so the user will be able to filter the request by maybe pending or completed. This is something that we can do from the front end, since we can just pull all the data from the database to the front end, then we filter it in the front end. But since this is a Django and React course, I feel it is better for us to do everything in the back end, to do anything that is data related in the back end. So let us write the final view. So this final view, don't forget it's a function based view. So at API view, and it's going to be having the get method. It's going to be permitting the get method. So I'm going to be doing the get filtered data. Get filtered data. So this filtered data now, request comma value. Okay, request comma value. So the data will be equal to false, and this is just me saying the value I'm going to be getting it from the user. I think in the front end, if we are going to be using 0 and 1. 0 is for pending, 1 is for completed. So if the user should send me 0, I'm going to be taking it as false. Okay, but if they are sending me 1, I'm going to be taking it as true. All right, so what I'll do basically is data equal to false. Then if um, the value that the user is sending me equal to 1, then data equal to true. So what do I want to do with this so-called data? What I want to do, very simple. I'll just say query set equal to the way I've been pulling my to do since. I'll just come here. So instead of getting all of them, I will filter it. You see that what I've been doing since to-do.object.all, but in this case now I'm not going to be getting everything. I will have to filter the result. Okay, so instead of object.all, this will be object.filter. So filter completed equal to any value that the user is giving me. So if the user is giving me a, no, this should be completed equal to data, equal to data, yes. So don't forget that the completed will be true or false. The completed will be true or false. So I'm just checking my notes, and here I think I used value. I think I used value. So I think the best thing to use here is data. So let's just go with data, because the data will be true or false. And if you check our models, it's a boolean field, true or false. So let's just play safe, please. So completed is data. So if the user is giving me a value of 0, the data is going to be false. So it will be giving me the one that completed the completed is false. So that will be pending. Okay, it will be giving me only the pending to dos. So all said and done, but these are going to be list of objects. So I have to change it to a list of dictionaries. So I will come with my model to dict again. So output will be equal to a list comprehension model to dict. Then I'll pass in to do for to do in query set. Okay, so this basically, this line of code, we convert the list of objects to a list of dictionaries. So moving on, just return response, and the response you are returning is output, and you are returning the status of status dot http 200. Okay, and that is it, and that is it. So all the views are completed. Let us write the endpoints, and the backend is completed. You see, the backend is the sweetest part of the project. Oh my god. So let us start by importing all the classes and the functions that we wrote. So the first one is the to do cl view. I also have a to do rud view. Then I have a toggle completed view. Then after the toggle completed, I have the get filtered data. Alt Z. So path, I want to map a particular view. So this will be API slash to do's. So don't forget the final slash, then to do's. So create list view dot, don't forget dot as underscore view, because this is a class based view. So the next thing you want to do is to name the view, which I think the name is optional, to do list create. So that will be the first one. The second one, path. So API to do's. Then I'm going to be passing a parameter. So this is going to be integer pk, and that is it. Don't forget this last one. If you remember very well, this pk is the search parameter. No, yeah, yeah, the query parameter. That is it. So they are going to be, for example, if the ID is one, you have API slash to do slash one slash. So come here to do rud view dot as underscore view, then the name equal to, what is the name going to be equal to do, it cannot be, I can think rud, to do rud, to do rud. Okay, so don't forget this one is list create, this is retrieve, update and destroy. So let us create the remaining two views. So the first one is the one for the toggle. So I'm going to be having path, then API slash to do slash, I didn't use pk for that one. Okay, I think for the toggle I used pk. So int is going to be an integer pk, then integer pk, then slash toggle. So it will toggle between the completed and the um so the name of the function is toggle completed, then the name is going to be a string that says toggle completed. Okay, completed. So the last path that we're going to be writing is going to be for the filter. So let me just copy this one. So toggle filter, I think this one is supposed to be get filtered data, get filtered data, filter to do. Okay, so I think all our endpoints are now complete. These are all the endpoints and they are working just fine. So let us try out so slash api slash to do's. You can see it's getting me the two to do's that we have. Okay, it's giving me the id, the description and completed. So the API is working just fine. The API is working just fine. I'm sure of that. So let us go ahead and do the last part of the project, which is to link the front end with the back end. So we can put the two together. So if I come here to my front end, I think I think this is the front end on. So for this task list now, I won't be needing it anymore. So I can just comment it out. I can comment it out. So let me just start from here. The first thing I want to do is to create some variables that is going to hold data, state variables. Okay, state variables to hold data. So const, the first one I want to create is this one that I created initially. So this will be task lists. So don't forget this is a state variable. So I'm going to be using use state and use effect here. Let me import it first. So react comma use state comma use effects. So use state and use effects. Come here, const task list. So my task list now, comma set new task. No, set task list rather. So this is going to be like this, equal to use state. So I'm going to be having an empty list. Okay, so if I save this first, so if you come back to the front end, you will see that I'm not getting any, I'm not getting any anything here. I'm not getting anything here. The reason is because I don't have I don't have any. You can see that my task list is empty. um, task list task list dot length. Yes, no task found. It's supposed to give me no task found. I know. Yes, yes, yes. So no task found. This is what it's supposed to give me. This is what it's supposed to give me. So no task found, and the reason is because obviously the task list now is empty. So now moving on. After that, I'm going to create another variable. I think I need to delete the whole of this one. So just to keep my project, just to keep it um, not cumbersome. So I'm going to be const, then I'm going to create new task. So set new task. Okay, and I'm going to be using the state of, I'll create a dictionary, and I'll say description. The description, I'm going to be setting it as an empty string. Then I'm also going to be setting the completed, okay, as false. If you remember vividly, in our backend, the description is a text field. The completed, it defaults to false. That is exactly what I'm replicating here. So I'm going to be creating a, I think this should be const, const. Then the next one, const selected task. So this will be selected um task. Then set selected task. So I have selected task and set selected task, and both of them will be equal to use state, and the use state is going to be null. Okay, the default value is going to be null. So before we proceed, I need to bring in my Axios. Import my lovely Axios from Axios. This is what I'm going to be using to make the API calls. Okay, so Axios gives me the opportunity to set a base URL for all the calls I want to make. So I'm going to be doing something like axios.default, so dot base URL. So this is going to be equal to my backend URL. If you come here, where is my backend URL? Don't worry, don't worry, just chill. So for my backend URL, if you come here, yes, come here. So my backend URL, paste it, but I won't be putting this last one. So normally it should be okay. I don't want to include these to dos, just slash API. So now that I've created all these variables, the next thing I want to do is to start creating the functionality itself. Okay, so I'm going to be starting with the read functionality, the functionality that will pull data from my backend and populate it on the front end. That is what I want to do basically. So the functionality that will read all the data, I can say const fetch data. So this fetch data now is going to be equal to an asynchronous function, and it's going to be accepting no data. Okay, no, So I'm going to be using a try except over here. I think it's try catch in JavaScript. Sorry, I write more Python than JavaScript. So so const, I will just say response. So the response now will be equal to await. Now I'll call my axios. So I want to use the async await syntax here so that the application will wait for it to make the call before it continues. It will wait for it to make the call before it continues. So this will be axios dot get. So Axios understands that this is my base URL now. So all I have to do, I won't have to be typing the full URL now. I can just do something like slash to do's slash. Alright. So after doing this, the next thing that I want to do is to set task list, and I'm going to be setting it as response dot data, or the response that the Django API will be giving me. The response that it will be giving me, it will be giving me a status and the data. So I'm pulling the data now and I'm setting it as my task list. But just for education purposes, let me console.log the response that I'm getting from the backend. So if I should save this and I come to my front end, so come to my front end, normally I think Control Shift I. So okay, I've not made the call. I only defined the function. I have not made the call. Okay, I have not made the call. So this thing I did over here is what we call function definition. I haven't made the function call. So actually, the way I want to make this function call is every time you mount this particular component, I want it to call that function. Okay, when you mount the component, you call the function. So how do you do that? You just come here and you will use the use effects. The use effect mimics the component did mount of class component. So use effect, and I can do this. So I'll come here. I don't have any dependencies, so that will be an empty list. So come here, use effect, then just fetch data. Just fetch data. Okay. So after fetching the data, um, copy. Did I misspell anything? I must have made a typographic error. Okay, yes. This is it. This is supposed to be a function actually, so I'm supposed to type an arrow function. Yes, sorry about that. So come back here. You can see what I have now. You can see what I'm getting from the API. I'm getting data. Okay, I'm getting data. If not for the course headers that we added, we will not be able to make this call. If not for the course headers that we added, we will not be able to make this call. So please, if you're having any errors here about making any of the API calls, please just check the CORS errors that we fixed the other time. So the course headers, when I was setting up the backend, you can just go back and fix it. So you can see that the study for mathematical methods 2 handled by Professor Julius Ehige is, I set it as completed. This is pending. If you check this one over here, you can see that this one is completed. Study for mathematical course. Course Samuel is false. If you come to the React app, so you can see that Course Samuel is carrying the red, while study for mathematical methods 2 is carrying the green. Okay, so that is the functionality that pulls the data from the API. So now let us work on the functionality that filters the data. This all pending and completed. Let us work on it. The all pending and completed. So what I want to do is to remove this console.log. We don't need it anymore. So the function that calls that pulls filtered data, the function that fetches filtered data. So it will be very similar to this one. It will be very similar to this one. So the function that fetches filtered data. So this is going to be fetch filtered data. So I'm going to be fetch all data, while this other one is going to be fetch filtered data. Fetch filtered data. Okay, so moving on from here, fetch filtered data. So if you check the endpoint, I think the endpoint is to do's. Then I'm going to be passing a value into this. So but before we write this function fully, let us come here. We have to do something here. If you come under filters, now if you click on all, I want you to pull all the data that we have. If you click on pending, I want you to pull only the data where the completed status is false. But if you click on completed, I want you to pull all the data where the completed status is true. Okay, so how can we do that? If you click on this one, let me just set the on um click property, just fetch data, the fetch data that we just wrote. But for this other one, on click, what I want you to do, I'm going to be writing an arrow function here because I want to pass in a parameter to the function. So I will just say fetch filtered data, and I'm going to be passing 0. Okay, because I want it to default to false on the backend. Then I'm going to be having on click for this one is going to be true. No, I must have miscopied something. Okay, so this is going to be 1. Okay, so this fetch filtered data, I'm getting either 0 or 1. So come back here to where we have fetch filtered data. Then I'm going to be passing the value. So the value will be 0 or 1. So I'll come here and I'm going to be using the backtick. I'm going to be using the backtick so I can just easily inject the data there. So the backtick. So this will be to do's slash, I have my dollar sign, then I have this. So the value that I got 0 or 1 slash filter. Okay, slash filter. And when you pull the data, all you have to do is just to set the task list as whatever you are getting as a response. Okay, so let us go and try it out. Let's go and try it out. So save this. If I'm saving this now and I come here, if I should reload, so if I should click on pending, I'm getting to do 0 filter. Something must be wrong with the URLs. So filter, to do 0 filter, I know it should be urls.py. Something must be wrong in the urls.py. To do this should be value. Okay, because if you come to the views, what I'm picking up is value. So let me try it again, run it again. Okay, so pending, to do's filter. I know I must have done something wrong. Come here, not found, API slash to do's slash 0 slash filter. I must be doing something wrong. I must be doing something wrong. So URLs. Okay, yes, it should be to do's. This also should be to do's. I know something is wrong with you. Please, when you are writing yours, um, that should be value. I think that will be all. It's supposed to work now. So reload this. Okay. Then after doing that, click on pending. Yes, it is working now. Pending, completed, pending, and completed. If you check the Django server, you can see to do's filter 0 1. If I click on pending, it is 0. If I click on completed, it is 1. So the app is gradually getting shape. The next functionality that we want to implement now is the create functionality. Okay, the next functionality to implement is the create functionality. So this create functionality now, if you remember when we were working on it, I said at every point in time, at every point in time, um, it is only one of these two that will be displayed. Both of them will never be displayed together at the same time. It is only one of them that is going to be displayed. So for us to continue working, for us to continue the work, come here and do something like yes, my React. Okay, so you will come to very good. This selected task and new task. We have to do something over here. So if you look at the selected task, let me close all this one so I don't have to scroll for long. So the fetch filtered data, I don't need them anymore, so I don't have to scroll for long. So if you check selected task over here, the value is null, okay, and this evaluates to false. So I will come here and say if selected task, okay, selected task, then I will come here and I will put a question mark. So now I want to write the ternary operator in JavaScript. So I'll just come here, then I'll put this one to write the other part. So this selected task, I will push it up here, but just to make it neater, I will push it inside. Then the other part, which is if there is no selected task, then obviously I want to create a new task. So come here and push it inside. Okay, let me push this one to inside. Now if you take a good look at what is here, by default it is null, so obviously by default I'm going to be getting this new task. If I save this one and I come back here, you see that I'm getting only the new task now. I'm getting only the box where I can create a new task. So the next thing I want to do is to create the functionality for this new tasks. So the first thing that I will do here is to work on this functionality over here, such that every time I enter a value, okay, that new task, it is going to be updating that new task for me. So I think the name of the function I want to write for that is to handle input change. So const handle input change. So change. So for me to handle this input change is going to be an arrow function that is going to be accepting the event. So after doing that, the next thing I want to do is to set new task. So I'm going to be setting the new task. I'm going to be doing something funny here. I'm going to be using the spread operator. So come with the spread, then the new task that we have initially. Then after bringing in that new task, I'm going to be doing something you need to pay attention for. E dot target dot name. So this is going to be equal to, the value is going to be e dot target dot value. All right. So what is happening here basically is that it is going to be setting the new task with a dictionary. So this is the dictionary first. The content of the dictionary is all the content of the new task initially. Then it will go and look for the name of that particular field, and it will look for the value. Okay, it will now append it to um, this particular object. Then after setting it there, basically you are going to be updating the description key. Okay, so if you come here to, where is it, this is it, and if you see okay, this is the one we are working with. So you can see the text, you can see the name of this input field is description. Okay, so I'm going to be doing something like on change. Okay, on change, no, what am I doing, on change, when you change it, I'm going to be handle input change. Okay, so apart from that, I'm going to be setting the value as well. The value is going to be the new task dot description. Just follow along, just follow along. So the value of this thing will be new task dot description. Whatever is the new task is what is going to be the value of this input field. So on change, every time you enter a new value, it will set this new task dot description, which will in turn set the value of this particular field. All right, everything is going to work. Just chill. So it might be tricky a bit, but don't worry, it's not. So if I should come here and I enter some value, it is automatically setting my it is setting the new task variable automatically. So the next thing we have to do now is basically to send the data to the backend. Okay, for us to send the data to the backend, we have to create a function add new item. Okay, add new item. So come here to create the function that will add the new item. So add new item. So the function that we add the new item, I can say const add new item. So this is an asynchronous function. So async um so this is an asynchronous function, and this function um okay, I have to also take a precaution here. Somebody might just come here and want to click on this button. You just click on it and this particular field is empty. I don't want you to be sending empty data to my database. So obviously I will come here and say if the new task dot description is equal to an empty string rather, then all I want you to do is just to return. Okay, it's just to return. But if it is not, then we try. Okay, we didn't write the catch part of all these functions that we wrote. So the catch part, sorry about that, is supposed to be console.error. Then we can just say error encountered. mm, Error encountered. So this error encountered, you can do something like this, then you just bring in the error. Okay, so I think that will be all for this, and I'm supposed to put it in the fetch data. Yes, sorry about that. Okay, so go back to add new item. So try, what am I doing? So try catch. So let me just write the error first so we can move on with our lives. So await, and what am I awaiting? Axios to get, then where are we getting from? Slash to do's. Don't forget I have a base URL that I'm relying on. Then just send the new task to the backend. Okay, after sending it, then I want to believe that after sending it, it will commit the new task to the database, then just fetch new data. Okay, after fetching the current updated data, then you set the new task. Basically just set the new task to the default, which is this default that we have over here. Just set the new task to this default. Okay, just set it to this default. Where is it? And that is it, and that is it. Set the new task to the default. So I think that will be all for that will be all for that will be all for this add new functionality, and all I have to do is just to come here and I think I want to console. so the log empty description. Okay, so let me just create. So for this ad, I think I'll come to, yes, this button over here. So this will be on click, on click, add item, and that is it. So come here, and if I should, let me just take this out. If I should reload this, so by default it will pull all the data. All right, by default it will pull all the data. So if I should try to click on this, you see empty description showing that it is working fine. So if I come here and I say record next tutorial, actually I have to record the next tutorial too, and I hope to drop that before the end of the week. So it is supposed to pull new data to this place. It's supposed to pull new data here. Let me check my backend. So after sending the data, if I should reload this page, um, I think it did something I didn't want it to do. So it is not posting the data. It is not okay. I'm supposed to post data. Sorry, for the add new item, I'm supposed to post. I'm supposed to post data. I'm not supposed to get. So um, click on. Let me just reload. Then come here, record next tutorial. Click on this, and yes, it is working just fine now. You can see if I click on it, it will post to the database, and after posting it will retrieve the current data. Task 3 include, you see, record, no, um, do the laundry with the laundry woman woman or woman. So just click on plus and the new task is good to go. So we've implemented the add new we've implemented the add new data. So the next one that we are going to implement is the function that will update. Now we have two different type of updates in this application. We have two different type of updates. If you want to update only the text, okay, normally what I want you to do is that you will click on this button over here. Then after clicking on this button, the text will appear here. So you have two buttons. One will be to cancel the update, the other one will be to actually implement the update. Then the other one would be, that is one way to update your data. Then the other one will be for you to set mark it as completed. You can see that study for mathematical methods 2, handled by Professor Julius Eige, is completed. Record next tutorial is not completed. So if you click on this green icon over here, it will mark it as completed, then pull the current data. All right, so after pulling the current data, it will populate it here, so it will be showing you green over here. So let us work on that as well. So I'm going to be starting with the function with the one that will update the text. So for us to work on the update for the text, it's very easy. All we have to do is to um, all we have to do is to go to the individual task code. I'm trying to look at my notes. So we go to this individual task. You can see that we have this pencil icon over there. So this pencil icon over there, if you remember from this particular list rendering that we did over here, we have task. So this one, I will just say, I will do something like this on click. Okay, then I will say set selected task. Set selected task, and I'm going to be setting it as I'm going to be setting the selected task as task. Okay, so that will be one. Then I have to come to this place, this form where I have for the selected task. So you can see that I have this cancel button over here. So this particular cancel button, anytime you click on it, so on click, just set the selected task as null. So I cannot do this normally, so I have to use an arrow function. Yes, set the selected task as null. So save this and come back to the program. So it is reloading. Too many re-renders to prevent an if. Something must be wrong with some of the things I just did. So let me take this one out. Let me take this one out. I think it is this pencil icon over here. If I save this, it is still giving me too many re-renders. Set selected task. Save. Okay, something must be wrong with the command. So come back here. So for the IO pencil outline, yes, that is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to set the on click. I'm supposed to set the on click to be equal to this. Then I'll bring in an arrow function. Then the arrow function is going to set the selected task, and it's going to be setting it as task exactly. So well, so why was it shouting initially? Then after this one, the next thing to do for the cancel button, which is this file times, basically I will do the same thing, but this time on click equal to this. So set selected task, and I'm going to be setting the selected task as null, and that is it. Yes, it's working fine. Yes, so that is that is exactly what I did initially. So okay, now if I click on, for example, if I click on this, you can see what I'm having now. Okay, if I click on X, it goes back to new. If I click on this, it shows me the update interface. If I click on X, it goes back. Now the next thing I want to do is to populate this particular text input using the content of the update. So how would I do that? I will come to um, this place, and if you see this one over here, so don't forget I'm under selected task, not new task. I'm done with new task. So you just come here and do something like value equal to um, the selected task dot description. Selected task dot description. Okay, selected task dot description. Then if I save that one first, I think I'm supposed to give it an on change as well. On change, and this on change is going to be equal to handle input, but this one it will be input select change. Okay, so this one will be handle input select change. Let me go and so just copy and paste it, but this is going to be handle input select change. So this will be going to be set selected, so it's going to be set selected task. So this is going to be selected task, then these other ones, and that is it. So and that is it. If I should come here and you can see task 3. If I should click on this one, you can see do the laundry with, click on this one, record next tutorial, click on this one, study for mathematical, click on this one, call Samuel, I can close it, I can click on this one, I can close it. Now let us implement this update function. Okay, so basically task 3, I want to change it to task 4. So let me write a function that is going to do the update now. So anything that will make this form to be open, it means that selected ID is valid. So a selected task is valid. So I can just come here and come here to update my item. So just the function to update the item now, const update um, update item equal to async. So it's going to be an asynchronous function, and the asynchronous function, so I'm going to try catch, but let me just copy the catch, try catch. So after doing that, the next thing I want to do is to, don't forget I'm having the async here, so await, and I want to await axios dot put. So I want to put, I'm going to be using my backtick so I can inject the ID. So slash to do's slash the dollar sign selected task dot the ID of the task. Then after doing that, slash selected, no, I don't have to put this one, just slash. So this is going to update it for me. Then after doing that, I'm just going to be passing the selected task. So after doing that, okay, after updating it, the next thing you want to do is just to fetch data. Okay, so pull current data, update it. Then after doing that, then you set the selected task back to null so that it can return the view back to the view where it can return the form where you can add new task. So let me reload this. So I'm reloading it now. If I should click on this, you see what I have. If I should update, something is wrong somewhere. What is wrong? Where's my server? It is not making the request. Okay, I have not added the update item to this particular button, so I have to go and add the update item to that button, and this is the button over here, this one. So on click update item, so save and come back here. So I think I didn't add anything. So task 3 for example, task 4 and update, you see it is giving me task 4 now. So with, let me just say I don't want to do laundry with the men, with the women anymore. I want to do it with the boys now. Okay, just take a good look at what I have over here. If I should update it, you can see do the laundry with the boys. So I can add a new task. Don't forget, I can say call David, and I come here, you see call David. So we are almost done. The next one that we want to work on is this one over here. When you click on it, it will change the status from pending to completed. You can see all these red ones, it is showing pending, but what if I want to mark them as completed? Okay, what if I want to mark them as completed? So I'm going to be writing a function, and the function basically will be toggle completed. And if you remember the function over here, if you remember the function, the toggle completed function under views, you will see that the method is patch. So I'm going to be using axios.patch. Okay, so come here, So now I'm going to be using axios.patch. So come here, const toggle completed, toggle completed. So equals to an asynchronous function that is going to be taking id. Okay, so the id of the task that we want to toggle the completed status. Don't forget try and catch. So the catch part is this. So for this other one, I want to await axios dot patch. So I want to, don't forget the URL is going to be slash to do's slash dollar sign. So I'm going to be giving it ID, and the ID I'm going to be getting it from the function directly. So that will be slash toggle. Okay. So, and I think that would be, after that I just have to fetch the current data. So fetch the updated data. So after fetching the updated data, what I have to do is I will come to all these yes, all these icons over here. So I have to play a trick over here. I have to play a trick over here. So the trick the trick is going to be task. If you remember vividly, okay, I didn't update all these ones. So I'm supposed to bring in another icon. So just follow along. Task completed. Task dot completed. So I'm going to be doing using this operator over here. Then I'm going to be using this as well. So if the task is completed, then what I would want to do is to send it back to pending. If the task is currently pending, then what I want to do is to send it to completed. All right. So now how can I do that? So if it is completed, I want to send it to pending, but if it is not completed, I want to send it to completed. So this one will be here. So then after this one, copy the whole of this, then paste it here. So instead of this far check, instead of this completed, I'm going to be having pending here. I'm going to be having pending. I think btn. Instead of pending, actually, I think I'll just leave it as the default button color. I think that is better to save us time and stress. So if you come here to the React icons, where is the React icons? React icons page. So what I'm looking for is the hourglass. Hour, I think font awesome hourglass. So the font awesome hourglass. I think I'm looking for the one in particular. Um, I think it's this one. No. Font awesome. I think it's this one. Yes. So I have to use this one to bring it into my project. Then after that, font awesome hourglass. Then after that, I'll come here and this is it over here. Okay. So now if the task is completed, it will be showing me this one as per return it to pending. But if it is not completed, then I can mark it as completed, and both of them will be having the same on click event. So on click, so for to click this one, I'm going to be having an arrow function. So this arrow function toggle dot toggle completed rather, then this will be task.id, task.id. So this other one too will be having task.id. So come here, task.id. So, and that will be all, I guess. So come here, come to the React app. So you can see that the reason why this one is showing me this hourglass is because it is completed. So this hourglass, I can use it to return it to um, pending. If I click on it, you can see it is working fine. If I mark as completed, you can see it is giving me that green. I can mark this one too as completed. I can mark this as completed. I can mark this as completed. I can return it back to pending, mark as completed, return it back to pending. You see that everything is coming into shape. So the last functionality that we have to implement, which is the delete, and we call the tutorial the long one a day, is basically for us to come to this place and we come to the fg trash. Then from there we add a function on click. So this on click now, I'm going to be having um, an arrow function. This arrow function, I'll just say delete item, and the delete item is going to be having task.id. So, but let me go and create the delete item. Don't forget, I'm going to be taking task.id. So that will be const delete item. So this is going to also be equal to an asynchronous function that will be taking id, and is going to be an asynchronous arrow function. Then don't forget my try catch. So this try catch, I'm going to just copy this one. Just copy this one. Then for the try, what I want to do is to await axios dot delete. Okay. Then my backtick so that I can inject the ID. So to do slash my dollar sign, then that will be the ID that I'm getting from the user. Okay. So, and I think that will be all. Then after this, just fetch the data. And I think we are done with this tutorial. It has been a long one. Let's just go and check. Oh god, I need to go and stretch my back. Oh my god. So if I want to call David for example, but I'm not interested in calling David anymore, so get out. Just click on this and you see it's working just fine. So let me just say task one, put it here, task 7, put it here, task 24, put it here. So you can see that some of the tasks, they are overflowing. You can just scroll your way through, and you can see that the most recent ones are the ones it is giving us up. So I can just toggle. You can see, I don't know, my device is actually becoming a bit slow, so sorry about that. So I can return it back to pending, return it back. So if I want only all the pending task, just click on this. It will show me only all the pending tasks. If I want only the completed task, it will show me all the pending. If I want all of them, you can see. So well, it has been a very long tutorial. So I had no intention for it to be very this long, but I want to believe that if you stay till the end, trust me, you've gained a lot. Trust me, you've gained a lot. So thank you very much for staying till the end of the tutorial. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any issues with any of our tutorials, please, the comment section is open. Drop them. We want to see your comments. So, and I'm thinking of actually augmenting some of these functionalities here. For example, adding user authentication and all those things. So we can redo the app, or we can just add all those authentication all those functionalities. If you know any other functionality that we can add to this app to make it more colorful, you can just let us know in the comment section. And if too many people are saying the same thing, I'll redo the tutorial. All right. So thank you very much. I'll see you in the next tutorial. We also have a support community. Yeah, we also have a support community you can join to give you support and all those things. So, well, till next time, thank you very much for staying till the end. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye for now.